Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, this topic we're discussing today is certainly not a new one. This committee has told big tech that they cannot claim to be simply platforms for third-party information distribution while simultaneously acting as content providers and removing lawful content based on political or ideological preferences. In other words, big tech cannot be both tech platform and content provider while still receiving special protections under Section 230. Free speech involves not only being able to say what you believe, but also protecting free speech for those with whom you strongly disagree. That's fundamental in America. And big tech should not be granted the right to choose when this right to free speech is allowed or when they should prefer to hide, edit, or censor lawful speech on their platforms. They are not the arbiters of the freedoms constitutionally provided to the American people. This committee has brought in big tech CEOs numerous times now. So far, they have chosen to arrogantly deflect our questions and ignore the issues we've presented to them. It took a whistleblower, whom we're fortunate to have with us today, to expose the harm that Facebook and other social media platforms are causing, especially to children and teens at an impressionable age. That harm concerns me. I have a discussion draft that would require companies to disclose the mental health impact their products and services have on children. Perhaps such requirements would prevent the need for a whistleblower to expose highly concerning revelations, including that executives knew the content of their social media platforms are toxic for teenage girls. And perhaps it would incentivize these executives to come back to us with solutions that enable a safer online experience for its users, rather than attempting to debunk the evidence of their toxicity. However, we also must be careful when considering reforms to Section 230, as overregulation could actually lead to additional suppression of free speech. It is our intent to protect consumers while simultaneously enabling American innovation to grow and thrive without burdensome government regulation.
Enter the event panelist numeric password, followed by pound.
Don't know who that was. That wasn't me, Mr. Chairman. That's not my accent, as you can tell. Ms. Frederick, the Chinese Communist Party has multiple agencies dedicated to propaganda. From the Ministry for Information Industry, which regulates anyone providing information to the public via the internet, to the Central Propaganda Department, which exercises censorship powers through licensing of publishers. How do big tech's actions compare to those of the CCP, the Chinese, when it comes to censoring content?
I'd say that a healthy republic depends on the genuine interrogation of ideas. And having said that, I am very troubled by what I see as an increasing symbiosis between the government and big tech companies. I talked about Psaki's press conference, but what I didn't say is in that July press conference, again, from the White House podium, she said, if one user is banned from one private company, they should be banned from all private companies' platforms. That, to me, is harrowing. What company is going to want to start up if 50% of their user base is automatically gone because the government says so? Yeah. So in my mind, that increasing symbiosis between the government and tech companies is very reminiscent of what the CCP does, and it should be stopped.
Ms. Haugen, in your testimony to the UK Parliament, you recommend that a federal regulator should have access to platforms' internal processes and the ability to regulate their process for removing content. Just yesterday, one of my Democrat colleagues agreed with your recommendation for more government intervention. I'm seriously troubled by my colleagues thinking that government involvement in private business operations to regulate content is even an option to put on the table. Bigger government means less innovation, less production, and less progress, not to mention the very serious First Amendment implications. This is un-American. Ms. Frederick, quickly, can you talk about the negative impacts this approach would cause?
It's authoritarianism.
Okay,
I
thank you.
was
Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
I was mischaracterized. The only thing I've advocated for is transparency and the government mandating that Facebook must articulate what it's doing to solve problems. Because today, they lie to us, they give us false data when they rarely give any data, and they always just say, we're working on it. They never actually give progress. So I just want to clarify my opinions.
Gentleman
Okay,
yields
thank you.
back.
I yield back, Mr. Chairman.